COVID-19 vaccines for our youth. You've probably gotten your vaccination. And if you got yours, are you making your kids get theirs? Just recently, it was about 2 weeks ago, where the CDC was suggesting fairly strongly that kids 12 and up, 12 to 15, 12 and up, should get the vaccine. They were saying that the way they were looking at it is those particular children, that age group, may not necessarily be seriously affected by the virus, by the COVID-19 virus. Although what they're saying is that they are the biggest spreader. That those groups, actually they said 25 to 12 to 25 was the biggest spreader of the virus. That was the CDC suggestion. And then soon after the CDC here in the United States had released that, and much of the information that they are getting is from the WHO, the WHO decided to release this.
So whenever new drugs or vaccines are developed, they go through this clinical trial, right? The testing in people with the disease in order to make sure that they are both safe and effective. And this usually starts with adults, because in case there is an unexpected side effect that we don't know about, we don't want children to be the first ones exposed. So all the vaccines that have been developed so far have been tested in people over the age of 18 years, or in one case 16 years. And so that's the population for which there is data. That's the population for which these vaccines are being recommended. Because COVID-19 is a much more serious and deadly disease in the older people, all the developers have ensured that older people and people with underlying diseases like hypertension, diabetes, and heart disease have been included. So that group, we know that this vaccine works and it's safe, the ones that are getting approvals. The studies in children will be starting soon, and in the next coming months, we will get more data on children. Also, supplies are limited. Global supplies of vaccines are limited, are being targeted to those at highest risk initially. So by the time we get the data on children, there's more vaccines to go around. We will then make the guidelines for vaccination in children. But as of now, vaccines are for people above the age of 18 years.
So there is the, what was her name? Soumya Sanamartin. My apologies, doctor. She is making it clear that it's probably not a good idea to get the vaccine for the children, particularly people under 18 years old. The argument is always, who do we believe, right? That's always the argument. When are you going to start trusting yourself? I'm positive everyone knows the numbers. I'm positive. If you know the numbers, what's going on with, particularly if you have children. Let me give you this. According to the data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, COVID-19 is the deadliest among older populations. In fact, through February 17th, 93% of the COVID-19 deaths nationwide have occurred among those ages 55 and older. Only 0.2% were younger than 25. 0.2% of deaths were younger than 25. This trend can also be found on the state level. So we've always known, because we've said this from the very beginning, even as far back as like February of 2020. We've known this from the very beginning, that the youth are not affected by this as nowhere near as much as anyone roughly 55 years of age and older. And especially you have to really go into like your 65, 70s to really see people really getting devastated by this particular virus. Or I shouldn't say people really getting devastated. I should say where the virus does its most damage is, and pretty much anyone 65, beyond and older. So it was it 2 months ago? 2 months ago, where Joe Rogan had mentioned anyone 30 and under should really consider not taking it, not getting the vaccine. And of course, the media came down hard on him and all that. I think Bill Maher had mentioned that too, 30 and under. But the numbers are very clear that people 30 and under are just not hit the same way that the older population. And considering that this, we're forgetting that the vaccine is not approved. It is not an approved vaccine. It was approved for usage, emergency usage. So why would you put your kids through that? Eric Clapton just came out, a clip of him talking about his kids, and they're kind of angry at him because he came out and expressed he got the vaccine, and he came out and he expressed how it affected him. Well, of course, the powers that be don't want that to happen. And his kids are just falling in line with the powers that be. So they want the vaccination because they feel it's the right thing to do. I think he's got a few teens in his life these days. So, and he's of course he loves them. He's dad. So they're kind of like in a tug of war with dad right now, because dad got the vaccination like they wanted him to. But then he started talking about what really happened to him. Okay, and what he's doing is he's telling people that, really do your research before you get into this whole vaccine thing. It may or may not be the right thing for you. Here nor there. But we have kids that are looking forward to the vaccine. Are you looking forward to getting your kid the vaccine? Because you do not know, you do not know what is the long-term effects of the vaccine. You're older, you may have 45 to 20 to 15 years left in your life. The long-term effects may not mean anything, or may not mean as much to you. But this thing has affected periods for women. It's created blood clots. If it's affected periods, do we know, will this affect a young woman's ability to birth? Like Eric Clapton said, that he'd mentioned that he had mentioned to his kids that it may not this may have a long-term effect on your ability to birth. And he said, well, he said, he didn't say it to his kids, but because he really doesn't want to argue with his kids, but he's saying that they should consider that. And then he said that they may not care, which is true. The way things are going right now, young people are not necessarily interested in families. My question, but the question's always going to be, who do you believe? The CDC. I didn't see the CDC come running out after that and saying, "Hey, maybe this is the problem." Maybe they did, but they didn't come out the same way But I know for sure they didn't come out the same way they did when they said that 12 and up should get the vaccine. They didn't come out and say the same way, well, we should hold off on the kids getting the vaccine because it hasn't necessarily been tested on the kids. And the other side of that coin is, quite frankly, we're all test subjects. If you get the vaccine, you're a test subject. Because again, this thing is not an approved vaccination. So where are you now? Where are you now? Do you still want your kids to get this vaccine? This vaccine that for a virus that they don't have any real issues with. It is rare. The death count is roughly the death count of people 25 and under is not even 800. 25 and under. And we were talking roughly we're approaching 600,000 deaths, something along that lines. So they don't even make a percent. They're still not even making a percent, 25 and under, of total deaths in the United States. So where do we go from here? Do we still want our children to be subjected to our fear? It's bad enough that we're handing them every single financial burden that we could possibly hang on their heads, on their shoulders. And then we are not sure, we're not sure if we're doing them physical harm. There's no evidence on whether or not this is the right thing to do, that this vaccine is the right thing to do for our youth. No evidence at all. Thanks for joining me. Ada Jet Noise. ADA Jet Noise. Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, Parler. Hit me up. Like, subscribe, argue. Give me the finger. Send me pictures of you, I don't know, cussing me, I don't know, what have you. Let me know what you're thinking. In this case, what are we doing with this vaccine thing? And our kids. We're all guinea pigs right now. So, with this thing, if you got the vaccine, you opted into the test. I will see you soon. Thanks again for joining me. Till then, big hug, be good, be still, enjoy your life.